I'll begin by sharing that this is my third Ode to Ian poem in less than 12 weeks.
I know.
The fact that I still have more content than I can use of volumes this does speak. For tonight we celebrate a legend, at least in his own mind. A more interesting and inspiring colleague you will never find. Ian Forrest, part Bobby Knight, Michael Porter, and Donald Trump. An extraordinary man on his behalf, I will now stump. 4 years ago, or I guess it's 3 years, I feel like 12. 3 years ago, he came from the East, the Czech Republic to be exact, full of vim and vigor, but perhaps still lacking in tact. He had a banking poster boy. Wait, he had been a banking poster boy in the former Soviet bloc. Actually featured in his own very ads. This, I'm sure, you will not give you a shock. This is my first experience with Ian Forrest. When I went to the Czech Republic, everybody gets one, and he's going to sign it. And this is true. Here's the CMO who puts himself in his own ad.
True. That's not true.
No, it is.
That's not true.
It is all true.
That's not true.
Looking equally, actually, I think wearing the same sweater.
That's not true. That's not true.
It's
not true. It's not true.
It is true. You can tell that story on your retort.
I'll tell the story on my retort.
Replete with bespoke suit, his dear mentor Peter Herbert did say, "Go to corporate, see the brilliance at work, and learn some polish along the way." Yes. Ian, his lovely bride Jen, and 2 boys found a dream house. It was brand spanking new. Yeah, so said Sotheby's and the inspector, too. For the last 3 years, the stories of his house, they did scare and depress. But they sure made me feel a hell of a lot better about my home repairs, I confess. I recall vividly one afternoon when Ian was coaching Jen on how to handle the latest foreign speaking crew. "Yeah, Jen, offer them a beer, some pie, and a sandwich of pork. Check that, make it 2. That's a true story. That woman deserves a medal for dealing with all the workers week in and week out, and for putting up with her general contractor, a guy with an ego so stout. Now, arriving at 9:01, Ian was at first prim and proper at work. But today, forget it. His inhibition's gone. In the hallway, he will twerk. I mean, barking out commands and busting in meetings are the norm. Within the HR department, there is now an Ian complaint form. And here we stand today. The years, they have flown like the down on a thistle. And I have watched gleefully as he fired rounds of verbal assault missiles. I mean, there's no better way to endear yourself to a business leader and his precious mission than by saying on a packed conference call, "I have no patience and you have no vision." True story. These are all true. Every day started with a fist bump, a cup of strong coffee, and by my office he would stop to share some conspiracy or an insane personal story that simply could not be topped. And we would ask, how does one person have so much drama in his life? Is he a victim? Is it fate? Or does he simply manufacture his own strife? And on how many occasions did we say prayers for Jen, his dear wife? At times he could be snarly, claiming all we cared about was his checkbooks and vision. And how dare on occasion we would not accept his ultimate decision. Having a meeting with Ian or neglecting to share a detail was like insubordination that when discovered would have Ian threatening his resignation. At times, check that most of the time, his marketing muscles he would flex. And I love the time he told our female CMO a business decision was like regrettable sex. In front of Jeff Immel, I witnessed it, the most awkward corporate moment of my life. His ideas and projects, we called them a forest fire. His conviction intense, and like a dog on a bone, he would not tire. This guy, he reads everything, and his opinions, they are quite bold. And his dad is like something out of a Hunter S. Thompson novel. His obsession's guns and gold. Is it true? I was like, and let's not forget the sitcom Ian was writing about real-life superheroes at the 7-Eleven. Or his friend Matt Jones, the golfer, his horse racing picks. And with USC football, he was in heaven. Not the last few years. But if you don't love Ian, you literally can't see the forest for the trees. Because this guy has a heart of gold and an unyielding drive to please. Like the beloved GE monogram, he's a brand in motion. and his extraordinary idiosyncrasies are part of his secret potion. For I have rarely, if ever, met somebody who combines such brilliance with madness, that fills his peers with inspiration and gladness. Like Hurricane Sandy, Snowstorm Kronos, or the most recent polar vortex, he leaves a mark, and on his GE Capital career I reflect. But this path is not destruction, quite the opposite he makes, creating only value, and he gives, not takes. And like the ad says, he is truly more than money or a builder, but in fact he's both, creating the NCMM, the Summit, and Roadshow for Growth. Now I'm sure Jen will miss the house, the lovely weather, it may seem, but probably not Ian's formal apology to the parents of his Little League team. When after a bad game, he said to his players that going to the NBA was a effing dream. And of course, this is a modest gathering, but our thoughts, they are hearty, and I'm sorry it's not the 200, including heads of state at his check party. No great, quote, no great genius has ever existed without some touch of madness, Aristotle said, and I could not help but think of Ian, so I sincerely afford him this cred. Now he is off to appliances, and he will make the Maytag man wish he'd never been born. And they will soon realize his spin cycle goes to 11, and from no ordinary playbook, this guy was torn.
Is there more?
There's one left. From his team, Elizabeth, Tomas, Brenda, and of course his colleagues in Com, we will all be at a loss to lose such a dear friend and extraordinary boss. And I think you are my boss. So to say. Let's give it to him. Yeah, it's just like,
You got it. Goddamn, you finally figured it out.
all right. So I raise my glass to a colleague who inspires all of us, and I hope this is not the last of you we'll be seeing. Let's all celebrate the self-proclaimed Year of Ian.